The other day I did 2 videos on the Digital Circus and talked a little about the show. One point which I touched on briefly was the concept of abstraction, the main cast, and some of the past humans in the Digital Circus. In this video I'm going to go into detail on this area and do a bit of theorizing on who these past humans were and if they'll play a role in the series going forward. So on Monday, gooseworx, the creator of the Amazing Digital Circus, revealed the ages of all the main cast members over on Tumblr. Their ages are as follows. Pomni is 25, Jax is 22, Ragatha is 30, Zooble is 22, Gangle is 26, and lastly Kinger is 48. Kaufmo isn't included in this list. So this information is quite intriguing. Pomni is older than Jax and Zooble. It's a little unclear if these ages are the age at which they entered the Digital Circus, or you could theorize that these are their current ages, which means characters like Zooble and Jax have been there for a couple of years, while Kinger has been trapped for 20 years, which explains his craziness. This means that since Kinger is the oldest, he could have actually worked on the Digital Circus when it was being made, which would have been created at some point in the 90s, considering the 90s PC game is the entire aesthetic. During the pilot, Jax also says, "Since when were you an expert on the Digital Circus?" which highlights that Kinger has some knowledge of the world. However, as you can tell, he's a bit crazy. Another addition to this theory is that during the episode when we see the gang walk through the corridor featuring everyone's rooms, we can see a female version of Kinger which is X'd out. Fans have been calling this person Queener, which I think fits her quite well. So from this, Kinger and Queener are quite unique because they're the only 2 characters with matching appearances. With the other characters, we can see they all follow a sort of similar theming where they'll resemble clowns, toys, or animals. Since Kinger and Queener are identical, it's likely they came into the Digital Circus together, and perhaps Queener was his wife. This would help to explain why Kinger is so crazy. Perhaps his wife got abstracted, and since then he's developed dementia. Jack said he thought Kinger would be the next to go insane, and maybe this is why. Kinger, by all accounts, looks the most likely to go insane out of the bunch. However, he's just able to hold on and stay sane. Overall, I think this reveal is incredibly interesting, and like gooseworx said on Tumblr, the characters' ages will play a big role later in the series. With the characters' ages discussed, it's time to move on to the past humans at the circus. During the pilot, we found out that there are 7 humans currently at the circus. However, Kaufmo goes insane, and the number gets reduced to 6. We know that there are various mannequins at the Digital Circus, and these are NPCs. While the gang walks through the hallway, we can see that many rooms are not currently occupied and instead have a mannequin on them. However, there's many rooms for past humans who went insane. Credit to Reddit user TinyBreadBigMouth for creating this image, but we can see that there are 28 doors in the hallway with 1 door that isn't visible. 10 doors belong to mannequins, so 10 potential characters can be added to the circus. This is interesting because what happens once all the doors have been filled? Will more doors be created, or will old ones be reused? So from these doors we can tell that 17 people have entered the Digital Circus, 11 have gone insane or abstracted, and 6 remain. This explains why some of the characters are a bit nervous about the topic of abstraction or insanity. In their time at the circus, they've seen their friends go insane and become these abstract monsters. As a result, they've given up on trying to find an escape, and are instead trying to stay sane by engaging with Kane's games. One theory I've seen is that each time a human goes insane, the next human will be a replacement of their assigned type. So if you look at the past humans, we can see a yellow clown who's X'd out, so he went insane. During the pilot, Kaufmo goes insane, and right after, Pomni is introduced, who is also a jester. All 3 of these characters resemble clowns, so it's definitely an interesting theory. If we look at the other humans, we can see many animal characters who have went insane, with Jax most likely being the most recent of that type. Queener also could have been at the circus before Kinger, so perhaps she went insane and Kinger was her replacement. This theory will either be disproven or proven in future episodes if we see more humans arrive at the circus, so I'm excited to see what happens. Prior to the release of the pilot, a teaser was posted which showed Kaufmo's normal form. We can see what he looked like prior to becoming abstracted. As a result, people thought that he would be a proper character in the show. However, as we all know, he went insane. I was thinking that perhaps Kaufmo was originally meant to be a main cast member. However, gooseworx posted some concept art recently on Twitter. We can see some early designs for the cast members including Kaufmo. We can also see his abstracted form several times. I'll cycle the images on screen, so feel free to pause and read in your own time. They're pretty funny. In one image we can see a fun drawing of Jax pointing out the gender balance in the Digital Circus. He says that with Kaufmo's death and Pomni's arrival, they're facing a new problem, being that there's more girls than boys. Some people don't know this already, but Zooble is genderless, so they're sitting at the bottom left side outside of the columns. We can see Kaufmo is scribbled out, so this concept art again reaffirms that he was always supposed to get abstracted. I think it would have been cool to hear him speak or see what his personality is like, and I reckon that's something we can see if there's flashbacks in future episodes. All we really know about him is that he told a lot of jokes, some of them weren't funny, and the gang had to fake laugh at them, and then he got obsessed with trying to find the exit and went insane. We'll most likely hear backstory from the rest of the gang in the future about what happened to him and the other past humans who also went insane. Before I wrap things up, I'll talk a little about Abstraction. Once Kane arrives back to the circus, he throws Kaufmo into an underground area called the cellar. Interestingly, he can revert Ragatha and Pomni's glitchiness back to normal, but he doesn't seem to know how to do that to humans. We can see a bunch of eyes everywhere in the cellar. These eyes have their design loosely based off the Elders of Lost Eyes, a group of characters seen in gooseworx animation Alien Gets Adopted. They're very similar with how they have a completely black body and multicoloured glowing eyes. So from this info we can theorise that the past humans got abstracted and were thrown into the cellar by Kane. They're not technically dead, but stuck in this insane state where they can't speak or have rational thoughts. There's a chance in the future that Kane will figure out how to turn them back to normal, or the cellar will grow so big to the point where it starts to affect the world and engulf everything in it. So that's some of my favourite theories at the moment. If you agree with my theories or have any of your own, I'd love for you to leave them in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching.